Ruthless Compassion is a podcast that shows you how to become fiercely kind. I'm the host, Dr. Marcia Sirota, and in each episode, I get into it with experts and regular folks about the things that get in the way of what we want. Things like addiction and mental health, isolation and loneliness, difficult family and work relationships, and the importance of self-care. I want to help you overcome the obstacles to living your best life, and I want to inspire you to become a powerful kindness warrior. Theresa Larson was born and raised in a log cabin on the outskirts of Seattle, fostering a love of the outdoors and an active lifestyle. After losing her mother to cancer at the age of 10, Theresa developed a resilient perseverance and determination that led to a collegiate scholarship and semi-professional softball career, top awards as a fitness competition contestant, and an appointment to lieutenant in the Marines, where she led an entire platoon while deployed in Iraq. Her service was cut short when she was voluntarily evacuated due to an ongoing struggle with bulimia nervosa. Theresa's journey to wellness required the bravery to ask for help, to take care of herself first, and abandon the idea of perfect. She is now a doctor of physical therapy and the founder of Movement RX, a physical therapy and wellness company that offers support to wounded warriors and individuals with health and movement issues. She travels all over the world as a speaker for MobilityWOD and the CrossFit Movement and Mobility Trainer Course. She is a Lululemon ambassador and works with nonprofits including Team Red, White, and Blue, LinderKids.org, Resiliency Project, CrossRoads Adaptive Athlete Alliance, and the National Eating Disorder Association. Theresa hopes that through sharing her story, she will help inspire others to empower themselves, embrace their inner warrior, and redefine and acknowledge their strength. Welcome, Dr. Theresa Larson, to the Ruthless Compassion Show. We're really, really happy to have you here today.
Thank you, Marcia. Thank you.
So I wanted to ask you, as I ask all my guests, about your journey that brought you to where you are today, because people's journeys, I think, are so interesting and have a lot to say to others.
Yes. Well, I think the stories that you can tell about your life help other people heal. So when you are able to open up and be vulnerable, I think it helps people realize that they can too. They don't have to hold back. They don't have to hold it in.
I agree. So you are now doing physiotherapy and writing and speaking, but how did you get to where you are today?
Oh, man. Well, that is a long story, but it's been definitely a journey of learning about myself. I played college softball, studied political science. You know, I kind of followed in the footsteps, so to speak, of my brothers for a long time. It's just because I looked up to them so much. 2 older brothers. You know, I'm like the shortest in my family, 6'1", but my brothers are, you know, these gigantic, amazing guys, and they both went in the Marine Corps, one after college, one before college, and I just looked up to them so much, so it seemed like the journey they were on in their life was good for me too. And so I essentially was making like career decisions and what to study in college. I was like, well, I'm going to do similar things to them. So went and, you know, played softball, studied political science, went into the Marine Corps after college, like my older brother, but did not, you know, ended up enjoying and succeeding, but also struggling a lot internally, and had to leave the Marine Corps. And long story short, just played, you know, when I left the Marine Corps back in 2006, late 2006, I had the opportunity to play softball in Italy, where I actually got injured playing for the first time. I'd never really been injured playing sports. That's really weird, but like especially severely injured, like to the point where it affected my game, I should say. So in Italy, I met a medical doctor and a physio. I worked with both because I was injured, and I just decided that was a path. One of those paths is what I wanted to go down. So it just so happened that physical therapy seemed to fit me because it was a tie between the medical world and fitness. So when I got back from Italy, you know, I decided not to continue playing softball and go start taking classes. And it was about a 5-year journey to get to finish graduate school with my doctorate in physical therapy, because I had to go back to school, get my prerequisites. So during that time, it was really, it was full of a lot of doubt, because for the first time, I was doing things that I wanted to do, and I was going down a path that no one in my family had done. So like my brothers were on their own path. One was a pilot in the Marine Corps. The other was now a salesman for a car dealership. That's not what I wanted. And for the first time, I was like, no, I'm going to make this choice based on what I want. So there's a lot of doubt. Like, do I know what I want? Are you sure this is what I want, Theresa? And, but my dad, and I had a few relationships along the way where the man was like, yeah, this is a long journey for you. Are you sure you want to go to graduate school? I mean, you're 28, 29. Don't you want to have a family soon? Kind of that doubt came from others too, who were meaningful in my life at the time. But thanks to my father, he was like, Theresa, you got to stick this out. You have to finish this education. This will give you the freedom and flexibility you value and need. Because at that point I had no other direction. So thanks to him, I just kept my head down and went for it. Got rid of the negative energy in my life, such as some of the relationships, and finished graduate school, and, started in a traditional practice, which was not awesome. It was not what I'd signed up for. So after 6 months, it was like, okay, this is not working for me. Again, having to say, this is not authentic to me. What do I want? I'm going to start my own business. As scary as that is, I'm going to do it, because I can now take care of people the way I feel they need to be taken care of. And since then, it's been just a slow, steady growth of creating my own empire here in San Diego.
That's very inspiring.
Oh,
and, you said earlier how you first followed in the footsteps of your brothers, and your decision-making process is based more on trying to emulate them as opposed to looking inside yourself and thinking about what you truly wanted. And then later on, you started doing exactly what you wanted, and you're talking about being authentic. And that's a very interesting point, I think.
Yes. So just through kind of reflecting a lot about my journey, it's realizing where I've come from. Like, I admired my brothers so much and my father and looked up to them so much. And for so long, it was almost easier to make a decision based on what I saw from them. And I wanted to please them and wanted them to be proud of me. And so succeeding in school and sports and even pushing through, even going into the Marine Corps was partially a decision of just well, this makes sense. My brothers did it. Our family is very, very patriotic and proud of our service. I want to do that. I want to be a strong woman influence. And especially growing up with all men, it's they kind of a little more sheltered in a lot of ways, but, taught me to be a little more bold in my life. And by bold, I mean, even though I was scared to do these things, they're just go for it anyway. You're going to be fine. So they pushed me. They pushed me hard. Mm-hmm. And I actually do value that. There's some parts I don't, but they pushed me hard. And they made me realize, even though you're afraid of, going to the Marine Corps and all the things to come, you will do fine. You just need to put your head down and do it.
So there's a role of courage in your family and in your life, a real theme of courage going through. Even though you're scared, just go forward.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's, even though the Marine Corps, to be honest, it wouldn't be something I'd go back and do. It's a great place to be from, but I'm fine with not being in the military or any bureaucracy for that matter. Proud of my service, but yes, it's even though you're scared to do something, I'd be really nervous going into big tournaments, or asking for permission to do things. I just do it anyway, because even though I was scared, it's well, it's not going to be helpful just sitting there and being scared. Do something about it. You'll get used to the situation. you'll get used to this feeling and you'll realize you really can do it. So
yeah, that belief in yourself is very important, isn't it?
yes. The belief in yourself, the ability to know that, your mind sometimes will want to, depending on your upbringing, and you always play tapes. Your mind is going to want to play tapes based on the way you were raised, like how you talk to yourself. And I believe the mind is the thoughts that come onto your mind. It's like a sixth sense. Sometimes they're distorted. So they're oftentimes going to tell you you're not good enough, you don't look good enough, whatever it is. And there's always going to be some negative, well, I should speak for myself. There's always going to be some negative tape because I've told myself for a long time that I am not good enough. But my brothers and family, or my brothers and father, were like, no, you can do this. This is something you very much can do. Don't listen to those voices. Like, actually draw from a deeper part of you and believe you can do this. And they helped me have a lot of perspective. So drawing courage from the fact that, okay, the courage comes from a deeper part of me. It's not from my my surface area part of my mind, so to speak. Like, it's because the surface area part of my mind is like, no, Theresa, the Marine Corps is scary. You're not going to be an effective leader. You're not fast enough. You're not good enough, blah, 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 blah. Just like I would say to myself in sports, you're not going to win this game. And it's like, you have to get beyond that muck that comes up and realize, no, I can't do this. Like, many people have done this and I can do it. And I think that way when I'm just with writing my book too. It's like a very vulnerable situation. I told myself, the surface area part of my brain is like, Theresa, what are you doing? But I know deep down this is the right thing, and I'm going to do it anyway.
And you were saying how there are people in your life who are encouraging you to do the various things, encouraging you to go into the military, encouraging you to go through graduate school, encouraging you to write your book, and also people who were maybe naysayers or doubters who encourage that surface part of your brain to doubt yourself and to wonder whether you're on the right track. And I guess it's really important to listen to the right people, the ones who are supporting and encouraging you, and to tune out those ones who are feeding into your self-doubts.
Yes. Well, thankfully, when I was preparing for graduate school and in a couple relationships that weren't healthy for me over time, it was my father who was just like, Theresa, giving me perspective. My father and I were very close over the last 10 years, have been very close. And I mean, we've always been close, but I would say closer as more friends, and he was like a mentor for me. So he would give me perspective on, like, Theresa, this is not, if you really think this is what you want, don't listen to these guys. Don't listen to what your mind wants to tell you. Like, pray on it, think about it, meditate on it, whatever you want to do. Just don't listen to the negative tapes that you're playing or what these guys are telling you. Oh, why aren't you wanting to have children right now at the age of 29? Don't you want to get married? Are you sure? Like, one of the guys I dated was interesting. He didn't think women belonged in the professional world, which was crazy. Why I started dating him in the first place beats me. But, you make these crazy decisions sometimes. But my dad was very much, someone who was a voice of reason and courage for me. And so he helped me a lot. And then in the, latter years, like as of recently, I lost my father a year and a half ago, tragically. And it was a very hard experience for me. And thankfully, I have an amazing husband who's been extremely supportive too. The grieving process for that and having to dig deep and think about what he would say to me and draw from inside. So before I would rely on him a lot to give me advice, like, Dad, just tell me what to do. Tell me I'm going to be okay. Like, give me some of your words of wisdom. He was a very wise man. And now it's like, no, Theresa, you have the answer inside of you. You can do this. And it's been, so instead of seeking approval and looking for reinforcement from even friends or family, I don't need it. I know I can get it from inside. I just need to take the time to do it.
I guess that empowerment is really internalizing all those positive messages that you've grown up with and the positive messages that you're experiencing as an adult, and then that becomes your confidence and self-worth. And on the opposite end, I guess if you internalize enough negative messages or have people who are undermining you as opposed to supporting you, then you're going to have a very different sense of self and a lack of self-trust and more doubt. So you were very lucky because although sadly you did lose your father, he's always going to be there inside of you as that voice of support and love and affirmation, isn't he?
Yes. Yes, he is. He knew me very well, and just I'm now able to pull from the strength that he gave me. Just because I have to. Like, he's not here, so I need to be, instead of saying, woe is me, I lost my father. And it is sad, right? I'm still grieving it. The grieving will probably be there for a while, but I know that actually I'm always going to miss him. I'm always going to grieve a piece of him. But I know that I can draw from the strength. He would want me to do that. And I have the answers from within. I don't have to rely on advice from, everyone and their mother to tell me how to do things, or that what my decision is, if my decision is right. Like, I know deep down.
I guess the definition of a warrior is somebody who perseveres even in adversity, who, as you said, puts their head down and gets it done, somebody who doesn't let the naysayers stop them or sidetrack them, someone who is authentic to their own vision and who just does what needs to be done.
Yeah, so warrior doesn't have to be someone who's been like extremely competitive or in the military. It really is just it's a way to describe a human, almost like an adjective, because it's someone who gets up every day and wants to take care of themselves, wants to show up for themselves, chooses the good fight, so to speak, chooses to want to get help if they need help. That's a warrior to me. And it doesn't have to be someone who looks physically strong and likes to fight. It's someone who is willing to stick up for themselves.
And your book, Warrior, what are you saying in the book about being a warrior?
I'm just describing myself as one. So I'm a woman who has gone through some pretty extreme situations in my life. And yes, if you look on a surface level, it's like, oh, there's a lot of accomplishments that have happened. And someone would say, wow, you're such a badass. Like, I don't consider my accomplishments don't make me a warrior. It's the thing that made me a warrior was when I was in war and I finally stuck up for myself and got help for the situation I was struggling with. So I was struggling with an eating disorder, and I couldn't admit that I had one. I couldn't admit I had a problem. And I did everything I could to help everyone else but myself. And the day I finally showed up for myself is the first day I would call myself a warrior. The first day I started living to take care of myself so I could better take care of others is the day I became a warrior. It wasn't the day I graduated boot camp or officer candidate school or got, All-American softball player of the year at Big East. It wasn't that. It was the fact that I showed up for myself and I chose to want to get better and not listen to those negative voices and the sickness. I wouldn't say negative voices. Well, I did have negative voices, yes, but the sickness I had, I actually wanted to get better.
You're really talking about the courage to face the truth about yourself and to address the issues that you're struggling with.
Yes. So like you said in your book, that first step is acknowledging where it's coming from. For me, honestly, the first step is just saying, okay, I need help. I can't do this alone. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what this journey is going to be like, but I know it's affecting me and I know it's affecting others around me. So I need to admit that I cannot do this alone. Because I think as go-getters, people who are listening, if you're a go-getter, it's hard to rely on others sometimes. You just want to do everything alone or do everything by yourself or, just work because you can get it done more efficiently probably than someone else. That while that may be true, that's not going to be healthy and efficient for you in your life. And, oftentimes if you just work and stay busy, you're kind of overly busy, you cover up these internal struggles, which we all have, right? If you have an emotion, you don't deal with it, or you have a loss in your life or something. Everyone has some kind of situation they may grieve, whether it's a loss of a parent, a child, a relationship, a job, whatever it is. It's like face it head on and be able to and actually feel those feelings that come up with the grieving process of this loss or this gain in your life. Don't cover it up with working too much or being overly busy. It's very interesting because I have a lot of lady friends who are entrepreneurs and go-getters. And, one in particular is like someone who I've actually had to let go of this relationship over time because they make themselves so busy that they can't really face, and there's always some blame on someone else, and they're not truly facing their demons or the things that they're struggling with, and yet they're giving advice to others about how to care for themselves. And it's like, that's not right. So the moment you show up for yourself and can face it head on and not make yourself overly busy and give yourself the chance to grieve and heal and be there for yourself is the day you're a warrior.
I love that definition. And, you said so many things. I want to touch on a few points.
Sure.
You were talking about how we can use being busy as an addiction in the same way we can use eating as an addiction, and how overwork is like running away from our true self, our true needs, our true feelings, and how we need to stop, take stock, and tune into our true needs and address those needs. And if we use busyness in that compulsive way, it takes us away from our authentic self. And it's easy, though, I think, because we can be proud of ourselves when we're busy. We can feel that we're accomplishing things. But isn't there an interesting line between being productive and, like you said, being over busy?
Yes, it is. I would say just in the last few years have I become more aware of the fact that there is, like when I was in the service and in graduate school, and it was easy to make myself busy because the work was there when the work is nonstop. So the work is not, even now as an entrepreneur, I should say, there's always work. But while I was in the service and then post-service in graduate school, it's like, well, I didn't know what it meant to just sit and be quiet and take time for myself. It was like this, I've got stuff to do. The moment I wake up, the moment I go to bed, I should be doing stuff because someone needs me. Someone needs this paper. These Marines need this. My commander needs this. Like, it was constant. There's no time off in my brain, which for me wasn't, and for most individuals isn't healthy. It builds up over time. So the anxiety, a little bit of depression, the eating disorder I was struggling with just got worse and worse over time. So it's the need now, since I've learned how to get quiet and how to meditate, I'm learning more and more that being busy is not awesome. Like, you need boundaries and for your own sanity, and that you, of course, being an entrepreneur, you're always going to have some things to do, but making the decision of prioritizing what you need to do, but putting yourself first. What are you first going to do in the morning? What are you going to do in the evening? When are you going to shut it off? Like, what do you need to attend to during the day? You always, thinking about just some business tactics, you want to focus on the important, non-urgent tasks, not the things that pop up in your email box every day or the phone calls you get all day. It's what do you need to attend to help yourself and your business move forward versus what other people want from you. So it's just like learning those tactics and realizing, wow, if I put myself first and I do my meditation, I do my quiet time, I do the important non-urgent things like fitness, spending time with my husband, cooking, preparing good food. Oh, my life is a lot more enjoyable.
It really speaks to my theory of ruthless compassion, of how you have to be very ruthless in your prioritizing of your self-care, but that doesn't make you non-compassionate, because you're more compassionate to yourself when you set those limits, and you're also compassionate to others because you help them understand exactly where your limits are.
Well, yes. So that's been a big theme through writing this book. One of the things I realized was like, okay, so I'm a business owner and I have people that work under me or work with me, teammates, I should say. I don't call them employees, or my teammates. I also, work with adaptive athletes, which is like my new little platoon. And I just have learned that taking care of your own, like as a platoon leader of 50 to 100 people at any given time, it's like I was so good at taking care of others. Very, very good at that, but not good at taking care of myself. But if you want to be a truly effective leader, you have to set the example, and not just like surface area example. You need to take care of yourself. And by putting yourself first, I'm not a parent yet, but I'm assuming this is the case as a parent too, from what I've read, that when you take care of yourself and your relationship, your family will prosper from that. When you take care of yourself as a business owner and you come into meetings and, situations calm because you've done self-care, you're better serving your teammates, or employees, whatever you want to call them. And that way with my class, it's like the more I do my own self-care and do my training and work on my movement and my mobility, I can go into my class better serving others because I'm coming from an experience of taking care of myself. And I have more compassion, and I feel true with my message. It's like, hey guys, take every day, move, take care of yourself, take 10 minutes to do mobility. If I was just saying that and I wasn't actually doing it, I'd feel like a hypocrite.
Yeah, you're much more of a role model when you're actually practicing what you preach.
Yeah, which is uncommon in the medical world.
Yeah, for sure. Sadly.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you now about perfectionism, because I think that's something that has plagued many people, and I think you talked a little bit about that as well, didn't you?
Yes. So perfectionism, it stems from, it's impossible as a human to be perfect. Impossible. The human condition doesn't allow it. And so the fact that as humans we strive for this black and white kind of optimal thing is like ridiculous, first of all. But it's just maybe some of the way we've been raised, what's been ingrained in us, being a very driven person. It's easy to want to compare to others and be like, well, that looks perfect. I'm going to shoot for that. The person is not like me. We're very different people. We're doing different things. Why am I trying to be like them? It's just, on the outside, it just seems ridiculous, right? But the thing is, that's sometimes what we get used to comparing. We get used to thinking what that woman looks like in a magazine is what I need to look like to be happy. And that's so basically you're seeking external, reinforcement to be happy. So you're wanting to look a certain way, act a certain way that you think is the perfect way. And oh, by the way, when you actually maybe do achieve that certain look, you're still not going to be happy, because there's going to be something else you're going to want to change about yourself, because you're comparing yourself to someone else or image or way of life. And so there's this constant downward spiral of unhappiness, because perfection just you're not able to achieve it, because perfection stems from approval from others. You need approval from others to feel good about yourself. You need to look a certain way to feel good about yourself. You need to look like the woman next door, your neighbor, or the woman in the magazine to feel good about yourself. You need to have perfect games every game to feel good about yourself. And that's just kind of ridiculous. But I've done it. I was a great perfectionist. But the way that, and there's a lot of shame in it too. So when you don't live up to, because none of us will, the perfectionist standards of whatever we're comparing ourselves to, there's unhappiness and there's shame. And so that shame builds and festers, and it can turn into addictions and other mental illnesses. Anxiety and depression are a common one in our country. I think 1 in 4 Americans, have a mental illness such as anxiety or depression. So the way that I look at, because those tapes are still in my head, but I choose not to listen to them. So when I find myself comparing or thinking of a situation, I think of how I can make the situation excellent, strive for excellence. And that striving for excellence versus perfectionism is more in an internal drive. It's like, I just want to be the best I can in this situation. Maybe I haven't gotten a lot of sleep. Maybe I have. But I want to have the best body, the best mind I can for me. And that body isn't going to look like anyone else's. It's going to be mine. And I'm going to strive. So striving for excellence, being the most excellent part of you, being the best version of you is way better than even saying perfectionist or trying to be perfect.
I really love that. And I love the fact that you're saying that this striving for perfection is really looking for external approval or judging yourself by external standards, and being your best self and striving for excellence is an internal drive of just being that best version of you that you can be.
Well, yeah, it's an endless, so when you're never going to be happy. That's the thing. You'll never truly be able to find happiness if you're always seeking perfection. It's like when I was in the Marine Corps, there's always something someone picked apart about me. Oh, you're too tall. You're too quiet. You're too loud. You're too nice. You're too this. You're too that. Okay, that's always, whatever profession you're going to be in, you're probably going to be picked apart at some point. And if you define yourself based on those standards, like, okay, I'm too nice compared to what? Well, here's the perfect Marine. They're loud. They're aggressive. They're intimidating. They're perfect physical fitness scores. Well, if I always compared myself to that, then I'm always going to be unhappy. I'm never going to fit that. Like, I have to be able to be okay with who I am. I don't need to be as loud. I can be happy. Like, I can be a cheerleader for these guys. I can be a motivator. I can talk the way, I don't have to talk in this deep voice. I can have my own voice. I have my own voice. Like, who cares if I say something goofy? Like, a Marine isn't supposed to be funny. A Marine's supposed to be serious, you know? It's like, oh God, my hair is coming out of my bun. God help everyone. This is I'm a shitty Marine because my hair looks imperfect. Well, who cares? Like, it's really kind of, as a human who's in a profession where they're maybe constantly criticized. I mean, just like with my book, right? There's millions of edits that had to be done. It's like, well, okay, that's part of the process. Like, this book is going to be great. It's going to be excellent. It's not going to be perfect. And the more I say it, like taking in that good, kind of more intrinsic control I have when striving for excellence versus trying to fit into a mold, the more my brain starts to change, like that neuroplasticity of like, okay, I'm now starting to think more positively about myself. Okay, this person said I wasn't loud enough. Well, it's just not me. Sorry. Like, I am me. Like, I'm doing the best I can. You know.
I love that. I think that's really great. You know, I remember at one point one of my patients was telling me, or very early on, that she thought I should change the way I operated as a therapist. I needed to be this and that as opposed to the way I was. And I stopped and I looked at her and I said, I'm really sorry. This is how I am. If this is not the kind of therapist you're looking for, I think it's probably best you find a therapist who suits your needs more. And she did. And I thought that it was fine. You know, yes. I don't need to be something that I'm not. And it's perfectly fine for her to want something else. But we have to be okay with who we are in our personal and professional lives, because otherwise we're going to be miserable our whole life, aren't we?
Yes. Yes, it's very, very true. I have, so just as like a recent example, so just having a book coming out and working with the publisher, it's, they want you to be a certain way when you're on like the news or something. So I've been doing some local San Diego segments and I've really enjoyed them and I think they've turned out great and I've had fun, but there's always some criticism I get from the publicist. It's like, well, you're not aggressive enough. You need to be in there. You need to be more aggressive and loud. It's the same feedback I got from the Marine Corps. And it just gave me flashbacks, right? But the thing that's changed in me, and that's just, the publicist doesn't know me that well. They're going after what they think is the group, will get me on a national show. Honestly, that doesn't matter to me, but I want to enjoy this time and be authentic. the thing that's changed in me, though, is like I've been able to say to myself, okay, this is what they want, but that's not who I am. I'm going to be firm in my conversation, especially if it's something I'm really good at talking about, but I'm not going to be your aggressive, go-getter, loud visitor on a show on the news. That's just not me. So if a national show doesn't want me because of that, that's okay. Like, I don't need it.
Yeah, you're really saying that we have to be true to who we really are, true to ourselves, our true nature, because otherwise, like you said, we're not being honest with ourselves or others, and we're not going to be happy.
Yeah, and it's actually made me, it's made me draw from an internal, the inside of me, versus when I was in the Marines, or had I still had that same feeling now that I did in the Marines, I would feel bad. Like, I'd feel bad about myself and be upset for a while until I was able to prove to this person that I was good enough. Because I had to prove to this person that I was aggressive and was loud enough. I don't have to prove anything. All I have to do is be myself. That's it.
I think that's a really great message for our listeners. I just wanted to ask you, in your book, Warrior, what's the message that you're trying to give to the reader?
The main message that comes out is that everyone struggles. Everyone. That's part of being human. Some of us have more struggles than others. But it's what you do with those struggles. So if you choose to kind of wallow in your struggle and not want to make other people take care of you, or not let people know, or, try to hide your struggle, that will fester into some pretty severe mental illnesses over time. And not only will you be sick, but it'll affect others. So how you deal with your struggles is what's the most important, because we all have them. So asking for help is a sign of strength and courage. 22 plus veterans commit suicide a day, between Vietnam vets to Iraqi vets, and that's not even including civilians. And these are colleagues of mine. So what's the big deal with asking for help? A lot of these guys, they have there's a setback. They don't want to burden others. They don't want people to know they're struggling. They think of internal struggles, these mental struggles, these physical struggles they have as weakness. Why is having a mental sickness a weakness? Why do people see it as that? Right? Anytime you injure yourself, whether it's physical or, emotional, it is vulnerable, but it's not a weakness. So not asking for help is. Because life is about relationships too, building quality relationships with yourself and with others. And people want to help. And you only affect others around you and yourself if you don't ask for help. So the whole point of the story is I am exposing my vulnerabilities to the deepest part of me. And then I'm also saying I chose in the end myself to get better. And my life has become richer because of that. And I wasn't doing it for anyone else but me. Because at the point when I did ask for help, I was seen as a piece of shit. I was looked down upon, which shouldn't be the case, but I'm exposing the harsh reality of what it takes as a human to be able to stand up for yourself.
You're saying that a lot of people consider being vulnerable as weak, and you saw the truth of it, which is that being vulnerable is part of the human condition, and that the way that we move through our vulnerability is to reach out and connect to others and help ourselves by getting them to help us. And then in turn, you were able to be of service and help others. So it's this wonderful circle, accepting your vulnerability as part of being human. It's not perfect, but that's, like you said, not necessary or possible.
Yep.
And then reaching out to others and then being able to help others because you were able to get your own act together.
Yes. Yes. And so of course the story is, dramatic in some ways because it's exposing I've had a lot of interesting experiences when I was sick, but it's also in the end very healing because it shows despite this, there is a way to heal. And it's an everyday thing. Like, I haven't just arrived. Like, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, I'm great now. No, I have a wonderful life and it's getting better. It's each day is like, there's a new blessing in it. And some days are hard, but I choose to wake up and take care of myself. And if I have a new struggle that pops up where I have to grieve my father, or, the book has brought up a lot of memories for me, I let myself grieve. So
that's terrific. Do you have a call to action for our listeners today?
Yes. So I would like you guys, so I know that everyone knows someone who has an internal struggle. So whether it's anxiety, depression, an addiction. So what I ask you guys to do is I go to my website, drteresalarson.com or warriorthebook.com, and get the first 3 chapters, 2, 3, I think we have 3 chapters for free. It was like a surprise. 3 chapters for free and read. And if that resonates with you, get the book and give it as a gift. Because I know that this story will help somebody, if not yourself. This book isn't really, I'm not making a dime off of it. This is more me giving my story. And I know it's going to impact others.
That's a wonderful call to action, and I encourage our readers to go to your website. It's drteresalarson.com?
Yes, drteresalarson.com is my website, and you can see just a little bit of information about my journey. And then the warriorthebook.com is where you can order the book, but you can get to the book page from both websites, obviously.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Theresa Larson, for speaking with me today. It was really a very inspiring and uplifting discussion, and I'm sure our listeners will be getting a lot out of it. And as we said, they can find you on your website or Warrior the Book. And thank you again, and we're very, very happy that you've joined us today.
Thank you, and thank you for the work that you do, Marcia. It's awesome, and I really enjoyed reading your book, too. I got a chance to go through it. A lot of good affirmations that I need. So it's a great reminder. And I like the 6-step process as well. So it's something that I know I'll be able to share.
That's wonderful. All right, Theresa, all the best.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. That was Dr. Theresa Larson. If you like this podcast, please rate it on iTunes. Also, you can sponsor me on Patreon at patreon.com/Dr. Marcia Sirota. Also, you can go to my website, marciasirotamd.com, and sign up for my monthly wellness newsletter.